quote, FDA standards, which, by the way, means that all your food should be dead, pasteurized, fumigated, or otherwise killed or nutritively destroyed. To the FDA, the only safe food is dead food.
Well, and they openly tell local farmers, get big or get out. We know they forced the Iraqis to only take Monsanto GMO crops. I mean, this is a strategic military takeover.
Well, yeah, and additional evidence came out in the WikiLeaks cables, which shows that Spain was involved with the U.S. ambassador to France and the GMO companies pushing GMOs into Europe, and they were creating a, quote, retaliatory target list of who to go after if they resisted GMOs. I mean, this is all in the cables. So we know there is a GMO global conspiracy, and it's not a theory. It's a real conspiracy that's happening right now. And now with this food safety bill, we know that the FDA is going to try to run the food safety programs of other nations and try to harmonize America with Codex. This is coming. You know, we've been talking about this for how many years, Alex? And it's coming now. It is now about to be signed by Obama and become law and be enforced.
Absolutely. Continue. This is important what you're talking about.
All right. Well, it also involves the Department of Homeland Security. This language is right in the bill. It says that in developing this plan, the FDA is going to consult with these different departments, which they call stakeholders. The stakeholders in the food safety bill include the Department of Homeland Security and, get this, the U.S. Treasury. What is the Treasury doing in my kitchen? Why does it have its hands in the food supply issues? Well, you already know the answer, and I think your listeners probably do too. But the people voting on this bill, you know, the naive senators and members of the House who voted for this, they probably don't get it, or most of them don't, that this is all tied in with centralizing control over security, control over the money supply, control over the food supply, and control over your health or actually your sick care. So once they've got the control, then you don't have options. You don't have an option to go grow your own medicine in your backyard because you can grow medicine. You know, natural herbal medicine and superfoods, you can grow them in your backyard. They don't want you to do that because that way you are a slave to the medical system where you have to go pay money for prescriptions and you have to keep paying month after month, year after year until you one day die bankrupt as another victim of Big Pharma. They have these systems of control. The grasp is getting worse, and thank goodness that there are still freedom fighters out there like you, Alex, like the health freedom organizations out there who are trying to stand up, who are doing a good job, actually, of standing up and bringing attention to this issue and helping us lead the fight to resist tyranny and restore the freedoms that we are supposed to be guaranteed under the United States Constitution.
Mike, I couldn't say it any more focused or succinctly than that. And, you know, in closing, I just over the years see the mainstream media make fun of us about Codex Alimentarius when all we're doing is covering what the private corporations and the UN and the World Trade Organization are announcing. And then now here it is in the bill, and there's no discussion of it. Thank God you found it in there. It's always changing.
Well, just like you say, they're hiding it in plain sight. You know, I hear you use that phrase quite a bit. You're exactly right. They hide it in plain sight. They put it right in there. It's a government record. That's a certified government document. If you open up that PDF, it's a certified government document. The language is right in there. Use the search function yourself. You can see it. You can read it. And you can bet the FDA is going to act on it. They're going to push this agenda. It's now about to become law. This is happening today.
Amazing. Mike Adams from naturalnews.com. He also authorizes us to post the wonderful material from that at Infowars.com. We love the great work he's doing. Mike, I look forward to having you back in studio soon.
Thank you, Alex. Always great to join you. Take care.
Great having you on. We'll be right back.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones asking you for a minute of your time to tell you about soap. Not detergents, but good old-fashioned pure soap made by the Cal Ben Soap Company, a family-owned and operated American company. My family, staff, friends, and radio listeners are constantly telling me how much they love these products for bath, hair, laundry, and dishes. There is nothing like these factory-direct, big-money-saving, triple-concentrated soaps anywhere. Get a free detailed catalog by calling 800-340-7091 or see them online at 5starsoap.com or Infowars.com. Let's talk to the owner of 5 Star Soap, Marty Schachter, and see what he has to say.
As founder and owner for over 63 years, people keep asking me, how's business? I'm happy to say our business is going down the drain. Call us at 1-800-340-7091 or visit our website, 5starsoap.com, for buying our 1 to 2 month soap sampler. Thank you.
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica, the number 3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com. Hi, this is Alex Jones. You've heard me talk about the delicious, easy-to-fix, and very storable foods from eFoodsDirect.com. I've told you for years that eFoods Direct has the best storable food on the planet. Now it's that time of year again, and their holiday special is here. They have 2 holiday price packs for you to put into your reserves for a secure future or to share with others. The first is a 6-month bulk supply in 10 cans. And the second is a 5-week supply of quick and easy-to-fix meals, including delicious bakery items shipped in heavy tote bags. Now, for a limited time, when you order 2 or more of these special holiday packs, you'll get free shipping on your entire order. Call now, 800-409-5633, or visit them at efoodsdirect.com/Alex. That's 800-409-5633, or efoodsdirect.com/Alex.
We had him on a few weeks ago, and he's back via popular demand, but unfortunately we've only got a half hour with him, but I look forward to having him up for a full hour in the near future, perhaps to even take more of your phone calls. He's Porter Stansberry. He's got a long bio, but he's made a lot of incredible predictions that Barron's has called and others have called a dire prophecy. Even the Wall Street Journal has written articles. We've got those linked up on Infowars.com. Amazed by how accurate his predictions are. And I want to give you the website, and it's linked in banners up on Infowars.com, where you can watch a free video presentation that Porter put together. But I wanted to have him back on to really quantify this for people so that folks understand what dollar devaluation and the depegging of the dollar, the world reserve currency, really means. I mean, people hear Glenn Beck talk about it. They hear people discuss it. They laughed at us a decade ago when they got rid of Glass-Steagall. And we warned people what was going to happen with economists. I mean, this is really common sense, as Porter has said, but the media has tried to deny common sense. Now they're having to admit it, but they're still not telling people how serious this is going to be. Porter, from your deep research of this and the video, End of America, the number 3.com, that's one word, End of America, the number 3.com, to watch that free presentation that's so valuable. And it's got a lot of solutions as well. I mean, quantify what this means for people.
Well, Alex, thanks for having me back on. And one of the things I'm trying to do is just raise some awareness about the magnitude of this problem, because I think people have heard this a couple times over the years. Remember back in the early 90s, the government shut down for a couple of weeks, and there were some issues about, our debt's getting out of control. People were aware of the problem. But then it kind of goes on the back burner again, and now it's back on the forefront because the deficits are really soaring again. So now people are worried. But the problem is, from my point of view, Alex, is that the numbers have now gotten so large that there is no plausible way that we can ever repay the debt. And that leads our government to one solution, which is to print lots of new dollar bills to pay our obligations. The only way we can pay for them is by inflation. And just so you'll know the extent of the problem, if you look at the income tax and the corporate tax from the last year that was collected, that was the tax that the federal government got, if you doubled that, if you increased the actual revenues by 100%, it still wouldn't have covered our deficit from last year. So there's no way that we're going to be able to contain these deficits. And obviously, if you can't contain the deficits, you're never going to repay the principal. And the total liability today, right now, Alex, for all the government's debts and for all of the things the government has promised to give people, like Medicare and Social Security, all of our future liabilities, the total bill per taxpayer is now over $1 million. So how many of those taxpayers are actually going to ever be able to finance their $1 million obligation to the federal government, and how will any of that money ever actually get paid? And that's what I'm trying to warn people about. There is no way these debts can even be financed. And if you can't finance the debts, then you have to start printing money, and that's where we are right now today.
And the cartel that controls our planet, these big financial institutions that have run us in the ground, the Madoff, Ken Lay types, I mean, they could care less because they're going to be left with all the loot. We're going to be left with all the debt. You know, I talked about quantifying it. You talk about it becoming clear that we've lost world reserve currency this year. About a week after you were on, the Russians and Chinese officially started doing trade between each other in the Chinese currency. We see gold and silver rocketing back up. I mean, when do you see it? I mean, you've pointed out the dominoes have already fallen. It's kind of like a corpse that's cooling off right now or starting to go into rigor mortis. But I mean, how do you see those phases? How do you see it becoming more evident? I mean, what's it going to look like on the street? What does it mean to the average person to lose the dollar's world reserve currency? I can't tell you how many people on the street have said, Alex, I see your show, I hear it, but, you know, I'm not in the stock market, or why should I care? Why should they care?
Well, you know, Alex, a great example of how this affects people every day in their lives is look what's happened to the price of gasoline just in the last couple months. It's gone back above $3 a gallon, at least where I buy gas here on the East Coast. And I think that's probably true nationwide on average. The gas is now above $3 a gallon again. How did that happen, Alex? Our economy hasn't grown. Demand for gasoline hasn't changed appreciably. And yet the price of gas has gone from the low $2 range all the way back over to $3.
Well, one of the top, I'm sorry to interrupt, Porter, but you're right. One of the top Shell execs said it's going to be $5 in the next year.
It will be. And what people can't. What's funny, of course, is that the American people are going to rail against the oil companies, and they're going to blame them for higher gas prices. The oil companies have nothing to do with the global price of gasoline. You know, that's set by the supply of oil, it's set by the value of the dollar, and it's set by the amount of refineries. They haven't built a refinery in the United States since 1975. So, you know, there isn't a very large increase in the ability to convert oil to gas. That's one problem with the gas price. But by far the bigger problem is that the value of the dollar is collapsing. You know, you see the price of gas go up by 50%. You see the price of gold double in 2 years. You see the price of silver triple in 2 years. When are people going to wake up and say, oh, you know what? There's some downside to all this quantitative easing. There's some downside to this creating trillions of dollars to bail out Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac so that Americans can still have cheap mortgages. There are downsides to this government policy of runaway debts and money printing to pay for it. And the number one way it's going to affect people is in the grocery store and at the gas pump. And I promise you, you know, corn is at a new record price, and I'm sure the farmers think that's great. But you know what? There's going to be a big problem for a lot of people, especially the people who are on food stamps.
Yeah, a lot of folks say, well, I don't get ears of corn. Corn is a filler in almost every processed food.
That's right. And think about this. There are 40 million Americans today